I just want to say something. I've been very impressed by a number of presentations today. T. Mateo, you guys are off the chain.
Yeah.
I mean, it's unbelievable. You know, I grew up in the South Bronx, and I know what a program is. I know the value of your program. So it's really good. Anyway, I'm Robert Brown, 1981 graduate, Eastern College now, University. For the last 24 and some odd years, I've been working with the New York Yankees, various capacities. I'm taking my jacket off. Most recently, I'm the Vice President and Chief Financial Officer. Sit on the New York Yankees Foundation board also. My purpose of being here today, I just really wanted to talk about 4 areas. A lot of these things you guys have touched on, but these are things that are important to me. Like I said, I work in the Bronx every day. I grew up in the Bronx every day. It's very important to me that I give back to the community that I work in and I lived in. So I want to talk about a couple of things. First thing I would like to talk about is the exposure of inner city kids to the business of sports. 1989, I tell my friends, I got a job with the Yankees. First thing they said to me was, you don't know anything about baseball. I said, well, I'm not going to coach baseball. I'm going to do accounting. And you know, one of the things that I find is that when I walked into that office, there was a secret that was set free. And that secret was, you can make a living in sports without being an athlete. And the connection for a lot of communities, especially the community that I was part of, we go from being an athlete to learning about the business of sport later than a lot of other communities. And the reason for that is there isn't a lot of people, especially in Major League Baseball, that look like me. You know, when I go to the MLB meetings, the finance meetings, there's 2 African Americans in the room. Myself and Jonathan Mariner, who's CFO for Major League Baseball. We're the only 2 African Americans in the room. And I bring that point up because, like I said, I think when you're teaching a kid to field a ground ball or to shoot a jump shot, you should be telling them, if that doesn't work for you, here's another component that you can have. So I go out and I speak to schools. I speak at boys clubs and girls clubs and every day. And part of my message is when I'm telling them what I do and what my background is, what I say to them, I bring my box out. And I open it up and I put it on the table. I got 5 World Series rings in there. And I say to them, I can't even hit a baseball. You know, I can't, you know, when I sit down, I'm watching the game and that pitcher throws the ball in, sometimes I don't see. You know? But I got 5 World Series rings, you know, and one I'm wearing today. All right, and what they go, wow, you know, how can I get one? I said, first of all, you know, the chances of you being a great baseball player may happen. But like me, through education and through knowledge, that it is possible. And one of the things that happens in the community that I'm from, what we see is, now, keep this in mind. I used to play basketball right outside Yankee Stadium every day, almost growing up. Never went inside. All I saw was the security guard, the concession worker, and maybe a player getting out of his car running into the building. I never knew that there was an accountant in there. I never knew that there was a marketing department. You know, I didn't know any of those things, because what happens is I see now, I have guys that I work with and I see them bring their kids to work with them. Okay? And in their communities, that's always been going on. You got fathers who worked in baseball, sons who worked in baseball, getting their kids internships. I'm here to say to all of you, maybe you don't work for a professional sports team, maybe you work for organizations like T. Mateo. You take them to the Eagles game. Everything that's happening isn't happening on that field, right?
That's right. Yeah.
A lot of it is happening in the office where I am. You know, and one of the things I used to do when we were in the old building, this is something that was very, very important to me. I was a little upset when the design of the new building came out. My office in the old building sat I overlooked the field. Right behind me was, if anyone knows what a press box is.
Yes.
So when I opened my curtains, the press box was right there. And right after the press box, you look right down onto the field. So we did tours. There were tours that would go on every day in the stadium. And I would always have my curtain open. And the tour guy said to me, Mr. Brown, don't you get tired of the kids, knocking on your glass? I said, no. I said, I need them to see me.
Yes.
All right? I need them to know that it is possible.
Yes.
So that, and my first point about introducing kids to the business of baseball or the business of sports, okay? The transition from playing sports to making money in sports is very important, okay? Baseball and all sports is a multi-billion-dollar industry, okay? And one thing you guys are doing, because you guys are dynamic. The one thing you do, the employment piece, you say some guys keep the score, some guy takes care of the field. Our grounds crew guy, he makes $175,000 a year.
Can I get a job?
You take care of the grass. you understand what I'm saying?
How much does a stick guy make?
But my point is, when you're talking to kids, all right, and you're using sports as a hook, because it was a hook for me. The reason why I ended up at Eastern College University is because of basketball. Because someone came to me and made me believe that basketball was going to be my vehicle to come out of the South Bronx. Not to get to the NBA, but to get my degree and then decide what I wanted to do after. I learned that very young. I was lucky, okay, that basketball is what's going to get you on your journey to where you're going to go. And then after that, it's up to you. So the business of baseball, the business of sports, doesn't all just happen on that diamond. There's guys like me in the back office, all right? Signing checks, moving money, hiring people, encouraging people. Baseball is a business. I'm in that business. When I go out and I speak to kids at schools, I talk to them about the business of sports because that's what I do. Now, I know I'm cutting a lot of things short because I thought it was going to be a question and answer at the end, so I had just little points I was going to make. The other, well, it's up to you guys. The next point I want to talk about is charitable foundations with teams in sports with the Yankees. I sit on the New York Yankees Foundation. We've given out probably I got a number here, probably $120 million over the last 10 years, with a big spike in that. If anybody have any idea, where do you think our huge spike was in our charitable giving? Anybody? When? No, 2009 we built a new building, right? Big deal. We had a stadium on one side of the street. There was a park on the other side of the street. We were going to take over that park.
Okay.
So what do you have to do? Community benefit agreement, which means how is this going to benefit the community? All right? Foundations. So what happens is all of a sudden we're used to giving out maybe 1.5 million, maybe $1 million. All of a sudden in 2009 we give out $4 million. Why? Because we had to show the community that there was a benefit for us taking over a park, cutting down 300 trees, right? In an area that's known for asthma. So you got a couple of trees make good air, we were cutting down trees. All right, a lot of other things. All right, so foundations are very important. And with foundations, ownership has to buy in. ownership should sit on your foundation board. Luckily, we have a part of our ownership family that sits on our board. All right, and we sit there and we go through all kinds of, you guys should send us something. We go through all kinds of letters every day and decide who we want to fund. Or the Eagles. I know the Eagles. I mean, I know the what's that baseball team we got here? Phillies. They got a foundation. You should talk to them. Anyway, but just to touch on team foundations, every team, mostly every team in professional sports has a foundation. Because if you're doing business in a community, you should serve that community. All right, so you guys have nonprofits out there. I'm telling you from the inside in, there's people waiting for your letters. Not everybody's going to get funded. We turn people down. You know, we try to do the tri-state area. You know, that's why I said, send me a letter anyway, but send it to the Phillies or send it to the Eagles because they're in your tri-state area. There's other people that sit on my, but they're probably going to say, they're in Philly, we don't want to do it for them. But the bottom line is when you have these nonprofits out there and you're doing good work, you're 501c, you're registered and all this, there's funding for you there if you show that you deserve it. People like me sit on boards, okay? I come from the community, okay? So I speak up for the community for which I come from. And believe me, other teams have people like me, hopefully, sitting on their board. They may not be black, but they may be somebody from a community that you may be soliciting. There's funds out there for nonprofits. I'm sort of skipping around here because I know it's late. All right. There's another piece that I'm going to touch on really briefly, and I think it's very important, and it's something that's important to me. Fans, how fans influence the team. You know, you as a fan, how you influence a team. And just to give you an example of what I'm talking about, I started with the Yankees in 1989. So between 89 and really 94, the strike year, 95, you go to a Yankee game, you saw a lot of empty seats, okay? But what happened in the summertime? All the camps, summer camps, would show up at the stadium. They'd be out there. So what did our marketing people realize? They realized, hey, listen, no matter how bad we were, the kids were coming, all right? So families were coming, camps were coming. We weren't getting the executives, the people that's there now. We weren't getting the corporations, the ones that's there now. But we were getting the camps and the families scratching together their dollars to come up. So as an organization, what we had to do is start catering to our fans. They influenced us to have reduced price tickets for them. It influenced us to send our players to make appearances in school. It influenced our foundation to make charitable giving to the community. So fans do influence what a team does. And I know everybody thinks everything is geared towards corporations. It is. But we see the fans out there, and it is important. I just wanted to touch on that. And the last thing I wanted to talk about, it's a subject that I talk about with my friends a lot. Who are sports executives? And I'm in baseball, and I speak mostly from a baseball standpoint. This is your sports executive. White guy, college graduate, married, played sports in high school, decided not to play in college because he wanted to study. That's your sport. That's basically the guys. You know? So what does that do? That leaves off a big part of our community. There's a lot of us that are not being represented in the boardroom. Okay? That has to change. There's too much money out there. There's too much unemployment. There's too much lack of knowledge. There's not enough people like me going out to schools telling kids. Now, there's one thing that's very encouraging in New York City. There's a high school, it's BOSS. It's called It's the high school for the business of sports. It's one floor in a high school, right? So it's not even the whole school, all right? We need more. See, what they do is they start talking to my kids about the business of sports while they're in high school. So when they go to college, they'll know that they may be an ability, even if they want to become a marketing major, an accounting major, or whatever, that applies to a sport that you may love. Like I wanted to work for the Knicks, all right? It worked out that the Yankee job was a little better, okay? But the bottom line is we need more schools in our inner cities that are teaching our children about the business of sports. I know you guys, a lot of you guys talked about the charitable side of it, but you can't have the charitable side without being able to fund the charitable side. Those are the points I wanted to talk about, and I want to talk a little bit about what I do in my community, how I try to give back. You know, I'm also a member of an organization called 100 Black Men. That organization is really for community service and mentoring, and what we do is what I do through them. I started my own mentoring program about 10 years ago where I was going out on my own because I was very frustrated by the fact that I would be sitting in these meetings all over the country and I'd be the only guy. Well, at first it was just me, then it became only two of us. Mm-hmm. And I'm like, come on, you know? You look on the field and it's a whole different story. So I started on my own, going out, talking to people and going and doing things like that. So I got with 100 Black Men. I had other guys that I could take out with me. And what we do is we go out and we speak to kids and we talk to them about how they can stay involved in sports after the playing ends. Okay, sometimes after the playing ends. How they could be like me. Okay? How maybe one day they can have a World Series ring. Okay? Or they could be sitting in their office with their curtains open. All right? Or how they can motivate others. Because it's happening in other communities. I see it every day. One of the things I try to influence is our internship program at the Yankees. Traditionally, our internship programs are kids who are friends of the owner. We're in the Bronx, and we hire 50, well, really almost 100 interns last summer. We had maybe 3 or 4 blacks and Hispanic interns. I said, that has to stop. Okay? That has to stop. We have kids in these inner cities who are doing the right thing. They're graduating from high school, they're going to college, and then they come back to their own neighborhood and the Yankees aren't giving them an intern, or the Mets aren't giving them an internship. All right, so one of the things I do is from inside, I make sure I gather information about kids doing the right thing, and I get them in for internships. And I talk to other teams about taking kids for internships, because that's the only way we're going to get a piece of this multi-billion dollars that's out there. When you're out there with these kids, and I'm telling you, you guys are an inspiration to me, because, you know, I get up every day and I go work for somebody. All right? A lot of you guys are doing your own thing. That's courage. You know? You say, hey, listen, I want to do this. She gave up her job. You know? Physical therapy, because she said, hey, this is not what I want to do. I want to go out and feel that I'm doing something that I feel worthwhile for. That's courage. All right? And you're doing it out there for your communities. All right? I sit on a board and I go, okay, fine. How much you want me to write the check for? That doesn't take a lot of courage.
No.
Doesn't take a lot of courage, but it takes courageous people for me to write that check. You understand? That's what it's all about. That's what I do. All right? That's what I do. I try to be an example. I try to show my face in the community. I try to motivate young people. And it's a pleasure. It's a pleasure listening to the stories that you guys talked about. It's a pleasure talking about the community service that you do, the organizations that you have. I'm blown away. And listen, I'm Rob Brown, 1981 graduate at Eastern College. I'm proud. Thank you.
Wow.
Anybody have any questions? I'll answer questions if you want. Anything you want, I'm going to answer. It's fine. Just don't ask me about the Red Sox.
You work with anyone else?
If you had the perfect resume in mind for an intern, what would you be looking at? What type of skill set? What would say I want that person on my staff?
Well, I mean, for accounting or just for an intern with the Yankees?
Either one.
Oh, it doesn't matter. I mean, because there is no perfect resume. There is no perfect skill set. There are so many different jobs in sports, or it's no different than a job at IBM. It's the same jobs, all right? Only thing we're a sports team. So the bottom line, to answer your question, is to be an intern at the Yankees, be a college student, okay, and be willing to work. That's all it takes. We're going to get hundreds of them, so you're going to go through them. I'm not the interviewer. You know, I do what I do to make sure I get a certain segment in. I might get 50 resumes over the course of when I'm going out speaking to people, and I try to say, hey, listen, I got 10 here. You guys better hire these 10. All right? So that's a little different than just everybody sending resumes. You know what I'm saying? So that's a little different. But there is no perfect resume. There's nothing that I'm looking for except the fact that you have demonstrated that, hey, we tell you to go to high school and graduate, you've done that. We told you to go to college, you've done that. We say to you, hey, listen, you don't have to follow the crowd and make the same mistakes. Some of the mistakes I made myself. All right? You've done that. So you should be considered, for an internship. That's what it is.
I really appreciate you coming to speak, and certainly appreciate all the wisdom you provide. What would you say is your proudest moment as far as using your success and using where you got to be an agent of social change?
Well, I mean, the last winter, I received the Martin Luther King Jr. Spirit Award from the Urban League of Long Island. That was really big for me. Because just to be associated with MLK Jr. And to know that I'm at least trying. I'm not always successful. I don't give up, but I at least try to influence young people in a positive way. And I think they gave me the designation business. It was business was in there some kind of way, for whatever reason. But I think I was more proud of that because I knew that while I work in the Bronx, I live on Long Island, and I didn't think I did a lot in Long Island. I did visit quite a few schools on Long Island, and I did speak at a lot of one Boys and Girls Club there, and some other organizations. But there were some kids that I did speak to in that Long Island region that I was able to mentor. And then I guess the Urban League maybe heard what I did, and they gave me this award, and I was like, MLK Spirit Award. I'm like, MLK Spirit Award? And they weren't just giving it to anybody. And I felt really good about that, because I felt I really was at least on my way to probably making a change in the community that I live in. Yeah.
Mr. Brown, you've said quite a bit. Speaking from your position is worthy of great attention. It's not often, and I'm in the presence of folks like yourself who really elaborate on things that really happen and definitely impact the lives of so many people who I might step up and say look like myself. So my question is, how does one get you to come and speak to kids?
They just call me, send me an email, and if I have the time, I will. There's certain times of the year, like the month of March. I mean, luckily this is a Saturday, but March is my audits, so I'm usually not available in March. But usually any other time of the year, if I can make it, I go. I mean, if it has to do with young people, I go. And sometimes I speak to adult groups also, but I like to speak to young people. So how do you get me? You contact me and you keep your fingers crossed. That's it.
So, I mean, you took a career path through that organization, which you yourself say isn't very seemingly, or is it? Is it a diverse environment? Is it one that encourages growth?
Well,
Or did you choose that path? Because that's something that folks have to learn sometimes and can't, and it's not often modeled.
well, you mean the path of?
You made a path for yourself, or was it modeled and helped?
You mean as far as my
You started here.
my development at the Yankees,
Yeah,
or my
yes.
development in career?
Both, I would say. I mean, but you have had a professional path, right? You have grown yourself in skill sets, and that doesn't come easy to a lot of folks.
There's two ways that you climb the corporate ladder sometimes. Sometimes it's based on your skill set, all right? But a lot of times it's based on you doing something and you become a legend because of that thing that you did.
Soft skills.
You know what I mean?
It's optimizing your soft skills.
So the bottom line is, that was one of the things that I did. There was a couple of other things along the way, but that really set me up.
Sure.
Because now, otherwise, he wouldn't have known who I was. And see, once my boss knew that he knew who I was and what my value was, well, it's like there's a guy dribbling and you set a pick, and he runs into that pick, and he knows that the next time, if you're not going to set that pick for him, he may not get by. So when you pop off, he better pass you the ball. So my boss knew he had to pass me the ball because the boss, you know, would thought that's just how it was. For me, like I said, I'm working on my 25th year, and most people don't last that long. And that's just what it is. I'm not a genius or anything.
That is something that is not taught. It's not necessarily, but that's.
Well, it is in the neighborhood I come from.
All right. Well, that has to be emphasized and grown and said, okay,
Well,
it's a transferable skill set. You have it here.
Well, yeah.
You can take it here.
Well, I'll tell you,
That's pretty
I don't want to take too much more time, but like I said, when I go out and I speak to kids in the inner city, and I speak to them about, you know, what they need to do to get to the next level, to be successful, I talk to them about, you know, where they live, and how do they get to school every day, and how do you know who's your friend and who's not your friend? Because on Facebook, everybody's your friend, right? Everybody's your friend on Facebook, and kids they have that mentality that just because you call somebody your friend, they have value. Not everybody has value. So you learn at a very young age, at least I did, that this was valuable, this was fun, and this was necessary. So you take that value and that necessity and you take care of those first. And then you have your fun. That's what I tell kids. And they understand that already. These kids are running around in these neighborhoods and there's all kinds of obstacles. And they know how to move about it. And you have good people like some of you people in this room who help them. But they know. At least I did.
They just need to know how to take those, make those transferable skill sets, and know that the arena is bigger than what they may have described for themselves.
Absolutely. You said it well.
Did you work with George Costanza? Did you work with George Costanza?
Seinfeld.
Yeah. No. No.
I asked a question I did about the internships,
Yeah.
because at Temple, every now and then I'm asked to oversee the summer programs.
Oh, okay.
We send a lot of kids to the Phillies,
Yeah.
the Sixers, and they're always asking, the students are asking me, what are they looking for? And I'll sit down with your colleagues at those organizations and ask. And you said the same thing. They said, you know, the short list is the preferred internships are going to the people whose kids are working here. And a lot of the kids from Temple, sometimes they're first generation. Sometimes they went community college route and this is their fourth university and they're trying hard. And what I'm trying to share with them is, you've got to shine. Because I got to believe that you've got, or your HR department's got, yay, that many resumes. So what's going to differentiate you from everybody else? So clearly, these young men and women do
Yeah,
not
I
have
know.
the connection.
No,
So what else is gonna take, what else makes you say, you know, is it the grade point average, is it the courses?
Right.
Is it they've done some work, that, when you say, I want these 10,
Yeah.
how do you say approved on that resume?
Well, you know, see, like I said, those 10, forget those 10.
Okay.
Those are my 10. We're talking about everybody else. Okay? For everybody else, it's how you present yourself on your interview. Let's put it this way. You want to work in the accounting. You want to come to the accounting, my department. So what am I looking for? That you're an accounting major. Right? And that you're currently in school. Right? I really don't get your transcript. Not for an internship. Not at the Yankees. You're telling me, I mean, we verify that you are a student at that college and you are majoring in this. But we don't ask the college to send me your, you write that on your resume. My GPA is 3.8. We're not verifying that. What we're looking for is when the HR department calls your kid, that he's not on the other phone blabbing about something. That he can talk about what he wants to do. All right, so it's the interview, really. So okay, you get this yay high, and you know, I don't have that greater confidence in our HR department. All right? But what I'm saying is what they do is they do interview, they tell me all the resumes that they get. They may sort through one of their spelling errors, maybe they throw those out. You know what I mean? They're just normal stuff. If you don't have to write a good resume, throw those out. But once they have them, it all comes down to the interview. And if my department, and if what department needs a kid. So you don't discourage a kid from sending in a resume for an internship because everybody has a chance. You know it's this is not a final job. It's an internship.
All right, thank you. Thank you very much.